Harbor Me, Chapter 29. The next week, just as we were getting ready to do math problems, Esteban walked back into our classroom. Mrs. Laverne didn't even try to keep us from jumping out of our seats to hug him and slap his back and say, "Where were you?" and "We were so scared that you had left forever," and "Is your dad home?" "He's still gone, in Florida," Esteban said, when we finally calmed down. "But he sent me another poem." Amari had his arm around over Esteban's shoulder, and Tiago was standing as close to him as could be. The rest of us had gone back to our seats, but we were all staring at E in wonder. It felt magical to have him back. It felt like we were almost perfect again. Ms. Laverne asked him to come up to the front of the class to read the poem to us, and when Amari finally let go of him, he carefully removed a piece of yellow paper from between his notebook pages. His uniform was clean but wrinkled, and the dark circles under his eyes looked like they covered most of his face now. He looked skinnier, too. "We moved to live with my aunt in Queens," he said, "and one of my crazy baby cousins tried to eat this." He held up the poem. The edge had a little bite taken out of it. Esteban shook his head, but he was smiling. "I'm going to read it in Spanish first," Esteban said. He read, and even though I didn't understand the words, they were so beautiful they sounded like music, and I put my head down on my desk to listen better. "Now I'm going to read the English translation that I made for you." He looked at the five of us, then at Miss Laverne. He seemed older somehow, like he had gone away and lived a whole life and then came back to us. "And in the night, when the dog barks at shadows, tell him not to be afraid of what he cannot see or the things he does not yet understand. There is mystery everywhere. Beneath rocks, there is damp earth and an army of ants planning a revolution." Esteban stood at the front of the room, staring at the page. Then he lifted his head and looked at us. We cheered again, even louder this time. I don't know if any of us really understood his dad's poem, but for a long time after he'd finished reading, I thought about that army of ants, how they were coming together, like us. Chapter 30. "And in the night, when the dog barks at shadows, tell him not to be afraid." In the cafeteria that day, Esteban asked if he could record the poems he had read to us. "I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow," he said, "or the next day, or the day after that." "But I thought you were back, son," Amari said. Esteban looked down at his empty tray. He had eaten everything on it so fast, Amari handed over his milk and gave him my leftover beef taco. "We don't know what's going to happen," he told us later when we got to the art room. "They might be trying to deport my mommy, too. And that's why we moved to my aunt's house. It's like my mommy has to hide now." "But why?" Ashton asked. Esteban shrugged. "She's from the DR too. My aunt, she was born here, and her husband is from America. My mommy said if she gets sent back, me and my sister can stay with my aunt, but I don't want that." He climbed up to his place by the window, but he didn't get quiet and stare out. He turned toward us and crossed his legs. When he did, I saw the holes in the bottom of his shoes. His socks, which were probably bright white when they were new, were grayish and barely covered his ankles. His uniform pants were too short now. I turned on the recorder and put it on my desk. Esteban nodded, repeating what he had just said, and continued. "They took my papi. They came to his job when he was leaving, and they said he didn't belong in this country. Maybe always in his heart he knew the day was coming. When I was little, he used to always say to me, 'Every day is a blessing from God, Esteban. Even if it rains or gets so cold you can see your breath and think your own bones are going to break beneath your skin. This too is God's blessing,' my papi said. 'One day your days are all gone. And then that's when you have nothing.' I was probably a stupid little kid whining because I wanted a toy or ice cream. I don't even remember. But now I know something. I know we had everything we needed. We had food every day, and coats, and boots, and warm socks, and water. Before you used to hear the word immigration, and it sounded like everything you ever believed in. It sounded like cumpleaños, and Merry Christmas, and Welcome Home. But now you hear it, and you get scared because it sounds like a word that makes you want to disappear. It sounds like someone getting stolen away from you." "What's going to happen, E?" Amari asked. Esteban shrugged. "My mommy says you have to pay for lawyers and stuff to fight it, but we don't have money for that. I think we're all going to have to go back to the DR. And that would suck, 'cause I would miss New York and I would miss all of you guys." We sat there, silent, all of us looking at Esteban. It felt like he was already almost gone, and we were trying harder to remember him. Chapter 31. After Christmas vacation, everyone turned looking a little bit different. But the thing that mattered the most was that Esteban had come back too. Tiago came back wearing glasses, thin wire frames that he took off to show us how they caught the light and bounced rainbows around the room. They reminded me of my uncle's glasses. I watched Tiago place them gently back over his nose. Years from now, I thought, there'll be people who never knew Tiago before glasses. Those are nice kicks, Ashton said, staring longingly at Holly's sneakers. Those are the ones I asked for Christmas, but I got these instead. Ashton made a face and held up his feet. His sneakers were white and cheap looking, like the kind they sold in discount stores. And my mom started singing that "You Get What You Get" song when I complained. He put his feet down. You lucked out, Halls. It's not luck, Amari said. Holly's a rich girl. Everybody knows that. No, I'm not, Holly said. Don't start in on me, Amari. But Holly pulled her feet back like she was embarrassed by her sneakers. I'd gone with her and Kira the day she got them. Her mom took one look at the price and called on Jesus. Nobody in their house is religious, but for some reason, that's what came to her lips when she saw the price. But I love them, Holly said, and they can be one of my Christmas presents. And plus, those are what everybody's wearing. I waited for Kira to say what she always says to Holly. If everybody jumped off a bridge, but she didn't. I'm gonna get you these, she said really soft so that Holly had to stop tying the sneakers and look up to hear her. But I want you to know that everybody is not wearing them. I want you to understand what that means. Holly nodded. A look came over her, as though the words were finding a room in her brain. Geez, Ma, I know, she said. Sometimes I thought Kira didn't know Holly like I knew her. Some days I saw her looking at her daughter like she couldn't believe they were related. But it wasn't Holly's fault that she had always known she could walk into a store and ask for expensive sneakers and get them. And Holly was really generous. Even when we were little, she made sure I had whatever she had, from candy to new comic books to time with Kara. She made her mom buy two of things and always had one waiting for me. I don't want to have this alone, she would say. That's not even a little bit fun. Wish I had such nice kicks, rich girl, Amari whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. He was not going to drop it. Delete you, Amari, Holly blurted out. Why are you even in my ear? You two just love to argue, I said. My uncle says that sometimes two people come into the world having the same fight they left the world having. Holly looked at me. What does that even mean? I pointed to her and Amari. You two. Maybe in another life you guys were having this fight. My uncle says people just keep getting reincarnated into each other's lives until they figure it out. Tiago laughed. You guys been fighting since the days of the dinosaurs. I don't know. No offense, Amari, Holly said. But you better not be getting all up in my next life. I don't even like you in this one. What's not to like about Amari? Ashton said. There's not really anything not to like about him. Yeah, Tiago said. He's not really. I mean, he's not really a bad guy. Not really. The boys laughed. Even Esteban, who was sitting at the window seat, watching the sleet come down. He had draped his Yankees jacket over his shoulders like a cape. Amari smiled. I shouldn't have ever told y'all about that name, he said. But Amari wasn't really laughing with his friends. He was studying Holly. It dawned on me then, clear and loud as a siren, that it mattered to Amari what Holly thought about him. Her words had stung, and just like our tilting earth, Amari was off balance, hurt by her words. I touched Holly's arm. Couldn't she see it? The way Amari's face had dropped? You don't really not like him, right, Holly? I tried to get her to look at me, to see me pleading with her. She shrugged. The room got eerily quiet. Before I could say anything else, Holly said, Nobody chooses where they get born or who they get born to. Maybe my parents are rich, but that doesn't mean I am. I mean, I am now, I guess, but Holly looked up at Amari. It's not my fault. I don't think Ms. Laverne wanted us to not like each other in this room, Tiago said. I think she wanted us to get closer, not more far away from each other. Holly picked up her knitting needles. She knitted slowly now, like her mind was someplace else. Her feet were still tucked beneath her chair. If anybody in this room wanted these sneakers, I'd give them to you. My uncle says our lives are dashes, from birth to death, and each day is a new dash. Another day, another chance. I wanted to tell him that people are dashes too, each a tiny bit of a connection to the next. Holly glanced over at Amari, then down at his drawing, and back at him again. I don't like when you call me rich girl, Mar, she said. Amari shrugged. Then I won't anymore. That's all